If you've been working on your note reading from the beginning with me, and you followed through all these lessons, you've now finished the Hal Leonard Method book number 1. If you're working on your reading but you're not finished that book yet, you could pick up Let It Be fairly early on, by the time you're working on your 3rd string on page 12 and learning the G and A notes. That comes with Hal Leonard's Pop Supplement book number 1, this green one. It's just the Melodies. I don't use their rhythm supplements where we have songs with just chords. I'm going into this book now as I finished up the first book, give you a chance to get ready for the second book, and pick up some nice songs from here. A lot of them have decent fidelity to the actual recorded versions. Let It Be is a song in the key of C. Depending on where you are in your studies right now, you may or may not be very familiar with the fact that the 1, 4, and 5, the C, F, and G are the primary chords in C. Those are the 3 major chords, and A minor is the relative minor. We have a really nice progression here, the 1 to the 5 to the 6 to the 4. If you have been following along, then months ago actually, you would have learned that that's a really popular progression in rock music. You could hear a C to G, A minor, it's a sound you want to get really used to, and of course you want to get used to playing it. A few other things that we can double back on in rudiments. We're playing music on a musical staff, of course. You have your treble clef. There are no sharps in the key of C. The scale is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. So the key signature has no sharps or flats here. Our time signature is 4/4. Recently I've been talking about songs written in kind of a half time. This is another example of it where we would actually play cut time compared to what's here. I never actually noticed this for a long time with most of the Hal Leonard songs. If I just play as written, the note values are going to be fine, everything lines up fine, but there comes a moment where you'll recognize when you listen to the real song that their pulse is actually half of what this is. Instead of hearing 4 solid beats in this bar, we would actually be hearing 2 pulses. Regardless, I'm going to play it just as written at first, and then maybe alter it a little bit and you can see how the feel is a little bit different. I've had piano students playing guitar with me who learned it from piano books and they were a little perplexed by this version. So we got these notes right before the first downbeat. In your book, if you've picked up your Pop Supplement book, this is a single note on beat 4. But the lyric is, when I find myself. So I always put in the 8th note for both notes, when I find myself. So beat 4 is this pickup. Here's beat 1. We've got a repeat sign, so we know we'll come back to this at some point. When you analyze the melody, you'll find out it's pentatonic. There are no F's or B's in this song. Paul McCartney was inspired by Paul Simon's Bridge Over Troubled Waters, which was very gospel-oriented when he wrote this. And I don't know if he selected the pentatonic major scale on purpose for that, or if his ear just led him this way. But as you know from some of our gospel songs like Amazing Grace and Will the Circle Be Unbroken, the pentatonic is a real go-to kind of scale. So we got the G note on C chords. Depending again where you are in your studies, you should probably name all these notes. I'll go slowly and do it as I describe them. G notes, that's the 5 note on a C chord. It steps up to a non-chord tone, the A. Songs generally focus on chord tones, so the G is the 5 and the E is the 3. Those notes are both in the C chord. So this little guy is called an escape tone. You've moved up a step from a chord tone and dropped down to another chord tone. On the G, we're playing G notes, so that's a chord tone. We're getting our way up to a 5, the D, that's a chord tone. The C note is an odd little guy. We're leaping from a G to a C, from a chord tone to a non-chord tone, and then resolving upward to the D. This is one of those things, this is called the appoggiatura again. You can actually hear it as a sus on the G chord. Then it steps into a chord tone. On the A minor we have those E's, those are 5s on A minor, they're chord tones. Walking down through a neighbor tone, the D note, which is a 4 on the A chord, we repeat it on the F. It's a 6 on the F chord, and it resolves to the C note on the F. That's a 5 note. E's are 3s on C, up to the F, a sus, a neighbor tone, chord tone up to F and back. On the G, we're almost getting another suspension idea. That E note hangs out here as a 6, resolves down to the D, does it again, and then a chord tone on F, the C, which is a 5 on F. You can just think of this as the 6 on G though, so 6, 5, 6, 5. As you know from your boogie strum, 6s and 5s are very popular in rock. The power chord is a 1 and a 5, and that's a 6. So piano players are going to do that boogie style as well, so it can get into their melodies quite easily too. We have a tie here. This whole note is tied to a dotted half note. Dotted half notes are 3 beats. We hit another G and hit a repeat sign, so we're back to the melody here. Next time through, we don't enter ending number 1, we enter ending number 2. Same note though, it's a tied to a C, and then we're off into the chorus. Again, we've seen this in several songs where the next section of the song actually goes to the relative minor. Time Is on My Side just did this the other day. So we're in C, the whole verse is sitting on the C chord and floating around it. In the chorus we do the same notes and a very similar progression, but starting on the relative minor. We've seen this in classical etudes as well, where the major chord holds down 8 bars and then we switch to the relative minor. We almost get an Andalusian here. We get A minor, down to the G, down to the F. In an Andalusian progression, it would go to the 5 chord of A, it would go to the E chord. In this, it goes to the C chord. This is Jack Johnson's Sitting, Waiting, Wishing. G, F, C, A minor, G, F, and C. Sorry about that, I was just distracted when I saw I didn't finish writing these. So I'll do a little edit when I put the chords and the stems in here, and we'll come back and finish this guy up in a second. So you should practice that melody and the chords separately. It's a nice one. You can actually play with the recording on this one. This is the right key. I'm going to play through with it counted out as 4/4. Even if you were playing in 16ths or 8ths or a cut feel or whatever, you can actually simplify it to 4/4 to count it out, and just to get the feel for a song, and then you can work your way back up to the more complex values. Going slowly, again, you can't expect to sight read this necessarily, but this lesson you should be coming back to over time, and you can practice and get up to speed on this. I won't go fast, but it's too fast for your sight reading, I would imagine. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. A minor. 2, 3, 4. F. 2, 3, 4. C. G. 1, 2, 3, 4. F. C, that note doesn't repeat. We hit the G and we're back at the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. F chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. C. Second line in my writing. F again. Into ending 2. Chorus on the A minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. C chord. This is like a hymn. You can hear that we're repeating the earlier part. Now you could go through a chord progression, or you could have gone right back to the verse, and now you could do another verse. Now using a cut time pulse, you'd actually want to hear 2 C pulses in that bar. So the song might sound more like 3, 4, and a 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and... I'm going to play it through like that now for you. If you can strum along, you'd have 2 strums in a bar. Actually, I might as well strum 2 beats of each and do the intro. C,